Things I wish I knew before getting my first apartment. So here's a quick story. So I arrived in Houston, Texas by way of the United States Army. I had gotten selected to be a United States Army recruiter, and they stationed me in Greenspoint, was my first recruiting station to recruit out of. So I signed into the unit, and my boss told me, hey, you need to go find you somewhere to stay. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I drive down the street, and I found an apartment, and I signed up, and I just signed up for a lease. Now, if you've been in the military, when you first get in the military, where are you staying? Where are you living at? Well, especially if you're a lower enlisted, you're living in the barracks. You don't pay any rent. You don't know anything about leasing, because you come in the military, you're like, 17, 18 years old? What do you know about leasing and housing and all that? So this was my first time living outside the barracks. So I found a place, and my boss calls me later that evening, and he says, hey, did you find a place yet? And I'm like, I did. He's like, oh, where? I said, right down the street. And he responds with, oh, you right in the hood, huh? When he said that, I knew I had messed up. I didn't know. I was like, what does he mean by right in the hood? Well, later that night, and several nights, I would go places, and it looked different than it did during the daytime. And it looked a little bit sketchy. It didn't look like it did during the daytime. Because in the day, you see business people walking around in the Greenspoint area. They're in their fancy suits, and they're driving the fancy cars, and it looks like a decent area. Now, I know they're improving Greenspoint. They're trying to make it more livable, and, they're working some things out. But back in that day, so a couple things I started taking notice of. One, there was a night where I heard screams. A couple nights, there was some screams. But one particular night, I heard, ah! And about 45 minutes to an hour later, I hear, police! And it's like, dude, am I in a movie? Next thing was, you have to get up maybe like 3 or 4 in the morning to take people down to join the Army, take them to the MEPS. So one particular morning, it was like maybe between 3 and 4, and I'm in my car, and somebody taps on my window. And I let the window down maybe about that much. And I look to my left, and there's a guy with no shirt on, no pants. All he has on is his underwear. And he says, hey man, let me in. These guys, they just jumped me. Let me in. And I'm like, dude, I gotta go to work. So I rolled my window up, and I drove on off to work. A couple other things happened, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. The final straw is when I tried to order pizza. It was a little after 6 o'clock, maybe 7. And I called a pizza place, and I tried to order pizza, and they asked me for the address, and I give it to them. And they say, is that City View? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we don't deliver there past 6 o'clock. And I asked why. And they say, well, our driver got jumped several times delivering there. So we don't deliver there after 6 o'clock. You can come pick it up. I am furious. And I made up my mind, I'm out of here. As soon as this lease is up, I'm moving. And a couple people told me, hey, you need to go up 45, either past 1960 or whatever, to find some decent places to live. So I did that and ended up finding some good places to live. So a couple things I learned. One, when you're looking for a new apartment, go at night, right? You can go during the day. It's going to look nice. But you need to go after 6 or so to see what things look like and contrast that to what you saw during the daytime. Number 2, ask around. Ask some people that have lived in the Houston area a while for some good places to live. Number 3, ask where the good schools are, because normally that would be some decent places to live. Call the local school district. Ask them, hey, what did you guys zone? And number 4, I should have just bought a house, All right. Remember to subscribe. Hope that helps. Bye.